The man stepped into the elevator. The elevator, powered by magic, silently carried him up to the 50th floor, the top floor of the city hall. Rumor had it that it was created by combining magic with science, but he didn't know the exact principles behind it, nor did he care. All of Neo-Soul's facilities operated in this manner. Through the appropriate harmony of magic and science, they maximized efficiency. It was an inevitable choice in an era of scarce resources. With most of the land turned into desert, obtaining concrete or even stone was not easy. Most of the materials that now constituted Neo-Soul were remnants of Soul destroyed 100 years ago. Buildings were constructed using old materials, reinforced by Awakenids like enchanters, and various amenities were created by Awakenids who used magic. Thus, the city hall became the nucleus of Neo-Soul. The elevator swiftly transported the man to the 50th floor of the city hall. Upon reaching the 50th floor, the man took off his tightly pressed hat. As he did, the face of a man in his mid-40s became visible. His expressionless, icy face and unfocused eyes gave him a unique aura and appearance that one could never forget. The man cautiously knocked on the door and said,
"Sir, it's Lee Zeong-ho."
Come!
A moment later, accompanied by a dignified voice from inside, the door opened. As Lee Zeong-ho entered, a spacious room appeared before him. Large windows offering a clear view of Neo-Soul, a large desk in the center, and bookshelves lining the walls filled with books were notable. However, what caught his attention the most was the man standing in front of the windows. A middle-aged man, seemingly lost in thought as he looked down at Neo-Soul. Behind the man in a suit, a relaxed atmosphere could be felt. Lee Zeong-ho bowed his head respectfully and said,
"I have completed the mission."
Good job!
The middle-aged man turned around. Then the distinctive features of the middle-aged man's face became apparent. Sharp features, blue eyes, neatly combed hair, and a stylish beard on his chin all left an impressive impression. The man's name was Jin Gyum-ho, the mayor of Neo-Soul. Jin Gyum-ho asked,
Was it difficult?
The conditions happened to align perfectly, so it wasn't too difficult.
Good to hear.
Here are the wings of the Queen Ghost Dragonfly and the Rainbow Pendant.
Lee Zeong-ho took out the two items from his spatial storage and handed them to Jin Gyum-ho. Jin Gyum-ho glanced at the rainbow pendant without much interest and focused only on the wings of the Queen Ghost Dragonfly. The wings of the Queen Ghost Dragonfly floated in mid-air, defying gravity like dandelion seeds.
Seeing as it defies gravity, I'm sure it's authentic.
A faint smile appeared on Jin Gyum-ho's lips.
I'm glad I didn't disappoint you.
You've never disappointed me once. That's why I can trust you with anything.
Thank you.
Was there any trouble?
Although the secondary raid team arrived faster than expected, even if we had encountered it, there wouldn't have been any problems.
I see.
Jin Gyum-ho nodded. He knew that Lee Zeong-ho's confidence was never excessive. Jin Gyum-ho had a special enforcement unit called the Numbers. They were killing machines who laid down their lives only for Jin Gyum-ho's orders. Lee Zeong-ho was one of them. He was a martial arts awakened, particularly skilled in swordsmanship. His rank was A. For most Awakenids, that would have been more than satisfactory. But he was different. He desperately wanted to become S rank. But he couldn't achieve S rank through conventional means. So he blinded himself. It was to obtain a skill called Mind's Eye. He believed that the combination of Mind's Eye and swordsmanship would lead him to a higher rank. But he still hadn't reached S rank, stuck somewhere between A and S rank. To reach a definite S rank, there needed to be another catalyst. However, Lee Zeong-ho wasn't sure what that might be. Jin Gyum-ho said,
You've worked hard, so take a good rest.
No, please give me a new mission if there is one.
There won't be anything for you to do for a while.
Understood. Please call me anytime if needed.
Will do.
As Lee Zeong-ho left, Jin Gyum-ho was left alone. Looking out over Neo-Soul, Jin Gyum-ho murmured to himself,
Retribution. It seems this is how it begins.
Ha!
Damn it.
When Xian returned to the boss room of the Hell Moles, the first thing he saw was the Awakenids sprawled on the ground. Both the Inazuma raid team and Jack's raid team were lying on the ground, catching their breath heavily, while Xian was dealing with the ghost dragonflies. They had attacked the Hell Mole boss and eventually managed to defeat it. However, the price they paid was by no means light. Both the Inazuma raid team and Jack's raid team suffered casualties. But compared to the Awakenids from the slums, they were better off. Most of the Awakenids from the slums were either dead or heavily injured. Still, the survivors' faces were not dark. After all, they had defeated the Hell Mole boss. The survivors would receive compensation for the deceased. That was the privilege enjoyed by the survivors of the raid teams. Kuji, who was catching his breath heavily, spotted Zeon.
Where were you? I didn't see you.
I retreated for a moment as my mana was depleted.
Kuji frowned at Zeon's response. Zeon's contribution was significant in capturing the Hell Mole boss. If he hadn't unleashed the fire rain, they would still be dealing with ghost dragonfly larvae. It was understandable that all his mana was depleted after unleashing a skill powerful enough to incinerate the endless swarms of ghost dragonfly larvae. But there was still an uncomfortable feeling lingering, like food stuck between teeth. Turning his gaze away forcibly, Kuji said,
First, recover the mana stone from the boss, and then figure out what to do with these prisoners trapped inside.
As his command was issued, Shu Han, with a dagger in hand, approached menacingly. With skillful hands, he cut open the Hellmole boss's belly and retrieved the mana stone.
This should be enough compensation.
A peculiar energy emanated from the mana stone obtained from the Hellmole boss. There was a chance that a skill might come out of it. Then, its value would skyrocket. Jack, breaking the stone monuments, shouted,
Guild leader.
He shook him, but Old Man Klexi didn't seem to come to his senses easily. However, it didn't seem like there was anything wrong, as his breathing was steady. Kuji said to Jack,
Our deal has been successful, so as promised, we'll take the mana stone. Any objections?
None.
Then let's get out first.
Upon Kuji's words, Jack glanced at Zeon. Jack's raid team rounded up the rescued individuals, avoiding Zeon's gaze. Zeon silently watched them. A cold smile crept onto his lips.
Indeed, there's no one you can trust.
Jack flinched at his sneer, but he didn't retort or get angry, because he had committed a sin. Originally, it was the subordinates of Old Man Klexi who discovered this dungeon. Accidentally stumbling upon the dungeon with the Hellmole as the owner, Old Man Klexi personally came to conquer it, but ended up going missing. He sent rescue teams to save Old Man Klexi, but they all failed. At that time, Tajik approached. He offered to support by sending the Inazuma raid team, but the condition was to ensure Zeon's participation. He had no choice. Old Man Klexi was her only remaining blood relative. She wasn't ready to let him go yet. Jack's raid team and the Awakenids from the slums left the dungeon with Old Man Klexi and others. Zeon stood still, silently watching the scene. Kuji asked Zeon.
Are you surprised?
Zeon replied.
Not particularly.
Kuji said.
Looks like you have a stronger heart than you appear.
I've heard that before.
It's not necessarily a good thing.
Kuji said.
It's not a bad thing either.
You don't give up a single word.
Zeon said.
There's no need to be swayed.
I've seen several guys with long tongues like you get their tongues cut off.
Really? Scary.
Zeon shivered exaggeratedly. Kuji's gaze turned even more stern. He remembered Tajik's advice before coming here. Test him. If he's useful, just roll him in like the crocodiles. What if he doesn't meet expectations? Well then, instead of a definite answer, Tajik smiled faintly. Kuji knew very well what that smile meant. Zeon looked around. Before he knew it, the Inazuma raid team was surrounding him. Yuri, Byron, Shuhan, and Komin aimed their weapons at Zeon, but Zeon paid them no mind and looked at Koji instead.
Was this Tajik's will?
Kuji said.
He's not someone you can mention lightly.
Is he that great of a person?
At the very least, he's not someone you can speak lightly of.
I'm getting more curious about him, but you're not going to tell me that easily, are you?
You should focus more on preserving your life than satisfying your curiosity.
Kuji didn't hide his enmity toward Zeon. Swish, he drew his katana. The katana, sharpened to perfection, pointed at Zeon.
Prove it. Prove whether you're worth it. That's the only way to save your life.
Well, let me struggle hard then. It's what I do best.
Zeon replied with a smile. His demeanor irritated Kuji.
Let's begin.
Yes, Captain?
Yuri, the wind mage, swung her fan in response. Byron rushed forward wielding his axe, while Komin blinked behind Zeon. Shuhan stepped back and observed Zeon. I'll dissect everything about you. Yuri's wind blades and Byron's axe simultaneously aimed for Zeon's throat. Added to that was Koji's katana. It seemed only a matter of time before Zeon's breath would be cut off. But contrary to Shuhan's expectations, Zeon neither had his breath cut off nor was he pushed into dire straits. Swoosh! An enormous wall of fire protected his entire body.
Hot. It's burning.
Byron recoiled from the intense heat, and Yuri panicked. Z lightly swung his hand towards them. Fire Rain, the skill that had decimated the ghost dragonfly larvae, once again unfolded.
Heh. No way.
At that moment, Koji stepped forward and swung his katana. Clang! The barrage of fire raining down on the Inazuma raid team was all sliced away by his katana. There was a red aura emanating from his katana. He had unleashed his aura sword. Zeon swung his hand again. Fire Rain once again filled the dungeon. This time, It was Yuri's turn.
Impossible. Tornado shield.
The wind turned into a tornado, creating a massive barrier that blocked the fire rain created by Zeon. The fire trapped in the tornado shield was extinguished in an instant. Kuji smirked with a sharp smile and said,
You're a fire attribute awakened, right? But as you can see, your skills no longer work on us.
It seems so.
Although he could use stronger skills, Zeon didn't bother to explain himself. There was no reason to explain. They're all gone. He sensed that Jack and the other Awakeneds had all left the dungeon. Now only the Inazuma raid team and him remained in the dungeon. The red aura from Kuji's sword intensified.
Enough with the games. I'll take your breath away now.
I'm also done playing around. Do you think 5-on-5 would be more fair?
What?
At that moment, the sand around Zeon moved. Swoosh!
Sand Soldier.
5 soldiers rose from the sand. The Inazuma raid team blinked their eyes.
What is that?
He's not a fire mage, but a summoner.
Around Zeon stood soldiers resembling him. Though their features were blunt due to being made of sand, their physique closely resembled Zeon. Sand soldiers. Soldiers made of sand. Zeon summoned sand soldiers equal to the number of Inazuma raid team members.
Now, let's begin.
As soon as Zeon finished speaking, the sand soldiers attacked the Inazuma raid team.
Do you really think we'll be defeated by such summoned creatures? Arrgh.
Byron's axe deeply pierced the chest of a sand soldier. Though the sand soldier struggled for a moment, it crumbled and returned to sand.
That was nothing.
He grinned, showing his white teeth. At that moment, something astonishing happened. The sand soldier, which had turned into sand, stood up again.
What?
The sand soldier attacked Byron, who was defenseless. Hit in the abdomen, Byron flew nearly 10 meters and slammed into the ground. He groaned and got up with a frustrated expression. The sand soldier was now rushing towards him, fearless and emotionless. Being lifeless summons, they had no fear of death. That's why Zeon enjoyed summoning sand soldiers. But Byron wasn't the only one in trouble.
Shit! Even after being smashed, they regenerate again.
Wind Mage Yuri was startled. Despite being shattered into pieces by wind blades, the sand soldiers were perfectly restored. Shuhan and Komin were also in dire straits. Shuhan, who was trying to assess Zeon's power, was threatened by the sand soldiers, and Komin saved him. Komin's ability was Blink. It was a rare ability to teleport to wherever the line of sight reached. But Blink couldn't be used indiscriminately. The number of uses and distance were determined by the rank and amount of mana. Around 30 times within 20 meters. That was the distance and frequency of Blink that Komin could use in a day. Even though he had used it only 10 times against the Hell Moles, he had already used it 15 times against the Sand Soldiers. Now he had only 5 uses left, Komin shouted to Kuji.
Captain, do something about this.
Kuji spat out a curse. He never expected to be overwhelmed by mere summons, not even Zeon himself. Sand soldiers that revived endlessly were nothing short of a nightmare.
There must be a core.
All inanimate summoned creatures usually had a core. Kuji closed his eyes and heightened all his senses. He activated one of the skills of a swordsman, body perception. He wasn't sure if it would work on the lifeless sand soldiers, but it was better than doing nothing. Luckily, he was able to find the core of the sand soldier.
It's on the right side of their waist.
He swiftly cut down the sand soldier. Perhaps because he severed the core, the sand soldier did not regenerate again.
Great.
On the right side.
Seeing that, his subordinates attacked the right side of the sand soldier's waist. The sand soldiers with broken cores turned back into sand, and they didn't revive again. Yuri gasped for air.
Damn it. I thought we were done for.
Byron cursed and raised his axe. Komin and Shuhan also managed to defeat the sand soldiers. They glared at Zeon.
Now it's your turn. I'll cut you down to the bones.
Having struggled against the sand soldiers, their anger pierced the sky. While they fought like madmen, Zeon leisurely watched them with his arms in his robe pockets. Even though all the summoned sand soldiers had turned back into sand, Zeon didn't change his expression and muttered,
Is this the limit against Awakenids?
From the beginning, he did not expect the sand soldier to have as much combat power as the Awakenids. Even if Zeons will influence the sand soldiers, they couldn't move and fight like Awakenids who acted on their own thoughts. That difference was evident now. All the sand soldiers he summoned had turned back into sand, and the Inazuma raid team was attacking him. Kuji's katana, emitting a sharp sound, flew towards him. Yuri's wind blades surrounded him from all sides. Byron's axe followed suit, and Komin's blink approached from the side in an instant. All of this was vividly clear to Zeon. With a calm voice devoid of any sense of danger, Zeon muttered.
If 5 aren't enough, how about 20?
As soon as he finished speaking, 20 sand soldiers stood up around Zeon.
Insane.
Kuji, who was swinging his katana, shook his pupils. The Inazuma raid team, which was in serious jeopardy with just 5 sand soldiers, was now faced with 20. Their hearts sank at the sight of them.
What the hell? What is this? Damn it!
Kuji's cold facade cracked. Underneath the broken mask, Kuji's true face was terrifyingly distorted. Zeon observed his expression carefully and said,
Did you attack me? Without even knowing that?
This bastard?
Sand splattered in all directions with a loud noise. One of the sand soldiers blocked Kuji's katana with its body. The attacks of the other Awakeneds were also nullified by the sand soldiers. The sand soldiers didn't flinch, even when they were destroyed and exploded. They threw themselves without hesitation to protect Zeon. The Inazuma raid team attacked the right side of the sand soldier's waist, where the core was supposed to be, but they couldn't feel the core.
The position of the core has changed. Damn it!
The destroyed sand soldiers were instantly restored and attacked them. The sand soldiers were nightmares to them. First, Shuhan screamed and fell. As he had the lowest combat ability, he was the first to go down. Next was Komin. Having used up all his blink charges, Komin was an easy prey for the sand soldiers. He screamed and fell, never to move again. Kuji, Yuri, and Byron's eyes were bloodshot. Their comrades' deaths had taken away their reason. Normally, a raid team formed once would be maintained until the end, unless there were extraordinary circumstances. Naturally, they would know each other well and develop deep bonds. It was almost like a family relationship. Losing such family-like comrades, it was understandable that their minds were turned upside down. They disregarded defense and rushed forward. To Zeon's eyes, they looked like moths flying into a flame even though they knew they would die. Zeon unleashed flames upon them.
Fire rain.
It was a firepower unlike anything before. Combined with the attacks of the sand soldiers, it was overwhelming. Tremendous explosions shook the dungeon to its core. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, a tremendous vibration and shaking under their feet caused Jack and the raid team to kneel, losing their balance.
What's happening? Did the dungeon collapse?
Sometimes, when a dungeon collapses, it can cause tremendous shockwaves in the surrounding area. However, it was the first time the entire area shook like an earthquake. Jack's voice trembled.
What's going on? What about the people inside the dungeon?
When a dungeon collapses, the people inside naturally perish. Of course, they should have escaped before the dungeon collapsed.
Surely they didn't fail to escape, did they?
One of the raid members asked.
What? They didn't manage to escape?
At that moment, a voice came from behind. It was the voice of Old Man Klexi, who had been carried on his back.
Guild leader.
I handed over the guild to Sihi. I'm no longer the guild leader.
It's fortunate that you're safe.
Jack quickly put Old Man Klexi down on the ground. Old Man Klexi shook his head and said,
What were you talking about?
Jack asked.
What?
Old Man Klexi pressed.
They couldn't escape? Who?
Jack hesitated. Old Man Klexi prodded.
What happened? I remember being captured by the Hell Moles, but how did you save me? Your abilities alone wouldn't have been enough.
Though just coming to his senses, Old Man Klexi quickly regained his sharp wit. It was the Hellmole's dungeon, where even the raid team he led had failed. He couldn't understand how Jack's raid team, with inferior skills compared to his own, had managed to rescue him.
Spit it out properly.
In the end, Jack spilled the truth.
In fact,
after hearing the whole story, Old Man Klexi clicked his tongue.
So you left Zeon behind?
I'm sorry.
Was that Sihi's decision?
It was a decision she had no choice but to make as the guild leader. Awakeneds were being deployed to other dungeons, and we were woefully understaffed.
Even so, you join hands with Shaolun? How cunning that person is. He's not someone Sihi can handle.
Actually, it's not Shaolun, but someone named Tajik.
Tajik is someone raised and trusted by Shaolun. It's not an exaggeration to call him Shaolun's copy, and you fell for the bait he offered. Did I hand over the guild leadership too easily?
He wasn't concerned about Zeon's safety. Although Zeon was an interesting presence, he wasn't more important than his granddaughter. What was regrettable was Sihi's immaturity in accepting Tajik's proposal too easily.
It's a shame. He was a guy with more value to exploit.
Old Man Klexi licked his lips, thinking of Zeon. He was already convinced that Zeon was dead. No matter how much they denied it, there was a big difference between the Awakeneds of the slums and those of Neo Soul. The Inazuma raid team was recognized for its capabilities even in Neo Soul. Old Man Klexi thought that no matter how strong Zeon was, he would be powerless against their organization. As Old Man Klexi was gazing in the direction of the dungeon with a faint look in his eyes, suddenly a streak of dust shot up into the sky from the direction of the dungeon.
What's that?
Others also murmured as they saw the spectacle. Then something emerged from the soaring dust. The object that popped out rapidly flew towards where Old Man Klexi was. Old Man Klexi widened his eyes.
It can't be?
It wasn't just him who widened his eyes. Jack and his subordinates' eyes widened as if they were about to pop out. In their sight, the object that was flying rapidly approached them. It took only a few seconds for them to realize that it was a human being. The object that flew landed smoothly in front of Old Man Klexi and Jack's raid team.
How?
Their voices trembled involuntarily, because the object that landed in front of Old Man Klexi was someone they knew. Old Man Klexi spoke to him.
You're alive, Zeon?
The one who flew from afar was none other than Zeon. Zeon smiled and said,
Oh, you woke up?
Instantly, Old Man Klexi felt a chilling sensation coursing through his entire body. It felt like ice water had been poured over him, and a sense of chill crept over him with alarm bells ringing incessantly in his mind. He sensed an unsettling atmosphere hidden within Zeon's brief words. However, he forced a nonchalant expression and replied,
I just regained consciousness a moment ago.
Thank goodness.
You were also part of the raid?
The guild leader, you see he, asked me for a favor.
Anyway, thank you. Thanks to you, I was able to come back alive.
I'm glad I could help.
Zeon smiled. That smile felt like a razor blade pressed against Old Man Klexi's throat. Old Man Klexi changed the subject.
Did you come out of the dungeon alone?
Yes.
What about the Inazuma raid team?
It seems they couldn't make it out.
Weren't you with them?
I was.
But?
Seems like they couldn't find a way out.
Unintentionally, Old Man Klexi let out a sigh. Kuji, the leader of the Inazuma raid team, was a B rank awakened. His subordinates Yuri, Byron, and Komain were C rank, and Shuhan was D rank. It was certainly not a force to be underestimated. With such power, they could have easily wiped out a raid team from the slums in no time. But they couldn't find a way out of the dungeon. It was an unbelievable story to anyone. Did he single-handedly annihilate the Inazuma raid team? Upon closer inspection, there was not a trace of sweat on Zeon's body. After Goran, now the Inazuma raid team, gulp. Unknowingly, Old Man Klexi swallowed dryly. This much had to be acknowledged. The man in front of him right now was an extraordinary individual. Behind that handsome appearance hid an unimaginable cruelty and ruthlessness.
Did the dungeon completely collapse?
Yes.
I see.
When a dungeon collapses, everything inside it naturally disappears. The Inazuma raid team had also been completely erased from this world, Zeon said.
It's unfortunate.
What do you mean?
It's unfortunate that high-level personnel like the Inazuma raid team couldn't make it out of the dungeon.
Yes.
No major issues, right?
Probably not.
That's fortunate. I can't stand being troubled.
Old Man Klexi realized he was clenching his fists unknowingly. His palms were moist with sweat. Seeing Old Man Klexi like this, Zeon said,
Let's go back now.
Indeed.
Old Man Klexi replied with difficulty. Zeon moved lightly as if he were someone out for a stroll. However, the footsteps of those following behind him felt as heavy as lead. Back at the camp, upon hearing of Old Man Klexi's return, Yu Sei-He rushed out barefoot.
Grandfather!
See he.
Are you okay?
I'm a little exhausted, but I'm fine.
Oh, thank goodness.
See-He breathed a sigh of relief.
I'm sorry for worrying you.
Why did you enter the dungeon? Raiding dungeons should be left to the younger generation.
Tisk.
In any case, if you ever enter a dungeon again, do you think I won't see you? Got it?
I don't want to go through that ordeal again. I won't personally enter a dungeon again.
Is that a promise?
It's a promise.
Okay, I got it. You must be tired, so let's leave it at that for today.
Thank you.
Old Man Klexi managed a faint smile. He was on the brink of collapse as it was. Any more nagging and he might collapse. That's when it happened.
I'm not sure if this is interfering with your family's reunion.
A strange voice pricked Old Man Klexi's ears. Instantly, Old Man Klexi's gaze turned cold. He sensed the identity of the voice's owner.
Tajik?
Long no see.
The man who greeted Old Man Klexi with a smile was none other than Tajik. His appearance caused Old Man Klexi's expression to stiffen.
I'm glad you returned safely.
Thanks to you.
But I don't see the Inazuma raid team. Did they return to Neo Soul first?
They couldn't make it out of the dungeon.
What do you mean?
Instantly, Tajik's face lost its smile. Old Man Klexi knew that the dry expression on Tajik's face was his true nature.
Are you saying the Inazuma raid team was wiped out?
Unfortunately, it seems they got lost inside the dungeon after rescuing this old man. They couldn't make it out in time.
You expect me to believe that?
What can I do if it's the truth?
Old Man Klexi replied nonchalantly without changing his expression. Tajik glared at Old Man Klexi with a terrifying look, but his gaze couldn't shake Old Man Klexi.
About Zeon.
He went home.
Is he unharmed?
Not a scratch.
Tajik tightly pressed his lips together. Old Man Klexi smiled secretly. It's amusing to see him flustered, but he had to distinguish between business and personal matters. In any case, he owed Tajik a debt. Old Man Klexi said to Tajik.
Give this mana stone to Shaolun. It's the reward for saving me.
Old Man Klexi handed a mana stone to Tajik. It was one of the highest rank mana stones he had kept. It came from a boss-level monster, and was an item not found in the market. The gleaming black stone was extraordinary at a glance. However, Tajik didn't even spare a glance at such a mana stone. Clutching it tightly, his clenched fist showed how angry he was. Understandable. If it was the Inazuma raid team, it would have been the best force Tajik could have commanded. Though a follower of Xiaolun, the leader of the southern part of Neo Seoul, he had his limits in terms of military strength. Xiaolun never concentrated his power on one person. He held tightly to everything important, and only threw scraps to his followers. The Inazuma raid team was the best force Tajik could command. The disappearance of such a top force in the blink of an eye naturally angered Tajik. He'll be furious for a while. This was the best he could manage. Whatever happened next with Tajik, or how Xian responded, was out of his hands. Of course, he couldn't completely ignore it, but still.
Ha!
A heavy sigh unconsciously expressed his feelings. Later, Xian returned to his home.
You're back?
As Xian opened the door and entered, Brielle didn't even turn her head. Brielle's face looked pale, as if she had stayed up all night. Her eyes were bloodshot, and dark circles were deeply etched under them. Xian asked.
What's wrong?
I failed.
Huh?
I failed. I've been focusing for 2 days and nights.
Brielle looked like she might cry any moment now. During Xian's absence, she had been immersed only in alchemy. She had used up all the ingredients she bought at the goblin market, but the result was failure. She had used all the materials she had brought back, and what remained was intense fatigue and helplessness. Tears welled up in Brielle's eyes. Xian asked her.
What exactly are you trying to make?
He had been curious for a long time. He had asked her several times in passing, but Brielle never revealed what she was trying to make.
Mana amplification potion.
Amplification potion?
Yeah, it's a potion that instantly increases mana capacity.
Is that some kind of narcotic?
It's different.
Brielle snapped. She knew better than anyone the harm of narcotics. She had ruined her body by making narcotics. The mana amplification potion she was making had hints from making narcotics. She had hidden it at the time, but now that she was free, it was different.
What should I do? I really want to make it.
Brielle glanced at Xian. Since she had used up all the materials she had bought last time, she needed to buy them again. But to buy them again, she needed money. Currently, there was only Xian who could provide money, so she was cautious. Xian took out a gem from his pocket. Brielle's pupils dilated instantly. She recognized it as a mana stone, and it was very precious. With its size and luster, it was undoubtedly obtained from defeating a boss.
A mana stone?
Do you want it?
Yes, yes.
Brielle's head nodded frantically.
Then tell me, what can you make with the wings of a queen ghost dragonfly?
Is that by any chance the mana stone of a queen ghost dragonfly?
That's right.
But why the wings?
Don't ask why. By the way, the queen ghost dragonfly was forced to molt.
Forced?
Brielle furrowed her brow. Forcing a queen ghost dragonfly to molt wasn't as easy as it sounded.
That'd require an S-rank tamer or an S-rank item to make it happen.
It's already done, so don't bother assessing the possibility. Just tell me what can be done with the wings.
There's a lot you can do. Since it's not affected by gravity, you can make flying items.
To what extent is it unaffected by gravity?
In theory, you can go up endlessly.
Without any effect at high altitudes?
Yeah! With wings of a queen ghost dragonfly, you could probably lift hundreds of kilos into the sky. But what's the point?
Why?
There are flying monsters in the sky. There's no way they would just leave something lifted by humans be. I don't know who did it, but as I see it, it seems like a waste of effort.
Xian didn't agree with Brielle's opinion. Whoever found a dungeon with 2 bosses and precisely forced only the queen ghost dragonfly to molt must be aware of such facts. They must have a clear plan to neutralize flying-type monsters or prepared countermeasures, even if they were hindered. It was just Xian's speculation. But he thought his speculation would be correct. Xian said to Brielle,
Write down all the ways you can utilize the wings of a queen ghost dragonfly and give it to me.
Got it.
Here you go.
Xian handed the mana stone to Brielle. A bright smile lit up Brielle's face.
Yahoo!
Chapter 99, Xian was sitting on a street in the slums. There wasn't any particular reason, he just felt like it. Squatting on the steps of some building, he blankly watched the passing people, and no one paid him any attention. Thanks to that, Xian could finally enjoy some leisure time. The scorching sun, the stuffy air, everything felt good. As Xian was enjoying his midday leisure, a loud noise shattered the peace.
Hurry up!
We need to dispose of the corpse before it rots.
Get out of the way. Move, you beggar scum.
Dozens of awakenids were seen entering the main road leading to Neo Sol. They all looked battered and bruised as if they had just finished a fierce battle, covered in sand and monster bodily fluids. What caught Xian's eye was the large truck they were dragging along. Inside the truck's cargo hold was a massive monster carcass.
A crown bear? It's rare to see one.
The crown bear was a gigantic monster with horns resembling a crown on its head. It's capable of walking on both 4 and 2 legs like a bear, and could use its front legs like a human, making it extremely challenging to deal with. Its adult skin was so tough that it couldn't be scratched by ordinary weapons, and it also had strong resistance to magic. As a result, most ordinary awakenids couldn't handle a crown bear. To hunt a crown bear, you needed a party with a combination of melee and magic-type awakenids or a raid team. It was worth forming a group like that, as a crown bear's carcass itself was a tremendous treasure. The gallbladder, commonly referred to as a talisman, increased mana, and its internal organs became essential ingredients for various potions. Even its meat and bones became alchemical ingredients, so capturing just one could earn a tremendous amount of money. What mattered most was time. Crown bear carcasses decayed incredibly quickly, so they needed to be disposed of quickly. That's why those who hunted crown bears were rushing like that.
Get out of the way, beggar bastards!
They shouted loudly as they ran madly towards Neo Sol. People on the street avoided them on their own, knowing that even if they were hit by the truck, no one would care about them. To them, the people in the slums were no better than stones on the side of the road. Stones were used to build buildings, but even if people from the slums were brought in, there was no place to use them. Like a sandstorm in the desert, the awakenids who hunted crown bears disappeared into Neo Sol in an instant, and the streets became a mess.
How much do you think they'll give for a crown barrel? Do you have any crown bears hidden away?
Then a voice was heard from one side of the street. When Xian turned his head, he saw a man who didn't fit in with the slums. In a neat suit with neatly combed hair, the impressive-looking man was none other than Tajik. Xian didn't hesitate to answer.
I wish there were. But what's a clean person like you doing in a dirty place like this?
I came to see you.
Me?
Yes.
Why?
Tajik's eyes narrowed.
It's because of the Inazuma raid team.
Ah, the Inazuma raid team. They were quite competent, so it's regrettable what happened to them.
Regrettable?
If only I had a bit more power. I could have brought them out with me. I'm sorry.
Tajik's eyes trembled slightly at Xian's natural response. It happened inside the dungeon. No one other than the parties involved knew what happened inside. Once a dungeon was destroyed, it disappeared completely from the world. It left no evidence of its existence. Tajik couldn't know exactly what happened inside the dungeon. Koji is very ambitious, and he never disobeys my orders. He must have challenged him. He ordered the Inazuma raid team to find out Xian's rank. The most accurate way to assess an opponent's rank was to fight them directly. So Koji and the Inazuma raid team must have fought Xian. The problem is that the Inazuma raid team couldn't escape the dungeon while Xian survived alone.
So, the Inazuma raid team fell behind and couldn't escape the dungeon?
It's regrettable.
Xian replied nonchalantly without changing his expression. Tajik tried to discern the truth from Xian's subtle facial expressions, but it was futile. This bastard, for a moment, Tajik's anger surged. He quickly suppressed his urge to act, but couldn't avoid Xian's gaze. Rather, he had his true intentions figured out by Xian. Unaware of that fact, Tajik continued.
So, you're saying the Inazuma raid team didn't make it out and perished along with the dungeon? Is that correct?
Yes.
It's hard to believe.
What do you mean?
The Inazuma raid team isn't a bunch of fools who wouldn't be able to escape a collapsing dungeon.
Is that so? Maybe they just had bad luck. The dungeon did collapse suddenly.
Ha!
Tajik let out a sigh without realizing it. There was no loophole in Xian's words. He couldn't gauge Xian's rank, and he lost the Inazuma raid team in vain. Should I just be honest and try to recruit him? Someone was needed to replace the crocodiles. Based on what he had observed so far, Xian seemed like a perfect fit. But as Tajik conversed with Xian, his feelings changed. No, he's not someone who listens to orders blindly. Judging by how he dealt with the Inazuma raid team, he's cunning and resilient. He's not someone who will be under someone, and he certainly won't obey orders. Having organized his thoughts, Tajik smiled coldly.
I've heard enough.
Is there anything else?
No.
Understood.
Until...
Tajik nodded slightly and disappeared. Watching Tajik vanish, Xian murmured softly.
I guess letting it go quietly isn't an option.
Xian knew people like Tajik well. Men with eyes full of ambition and confidence never tolerated even a single failure. They saw failure as a blow to their pride. There would be no thought of using Zeon in his mind. All that was left was the determination to restore his pride.
Letting it go quietly would only lead to more trouble, huh?
Zeon sighed lightly. Meanwhile, at the massive fortress wall that separated Neo-Sol from the slums. This wall was the barrier that separated Neo-Sol from the slums. Standing 50 meters tall and thicker than 5 meters, this massive fortress wall was covered with various magic circles and weapons. Erected to protect Neo-Sol from giant monsters, this massive fortress wall prohibited unauthorized human access. Especially at the giant gate connecting to the slums, Awakeneds stood guard, preventing slum dwellers from approaching. Even slum dwellers who approached from afar were only a handful. They only watched from a distance out of curiosity, but didn't dare to get closer. Awakeneds mocked such slum dwellers.
Ha! The beggars are staring again.
Let them be. They're just curious.
They must have a lot to be curious about what's inside.
Oh my, the smell.
The Awakeneds pretended to cover their noses. Although they were all humans, they didn't treat the slum dwellers as such. To them, humans were only those residing in Neo-Sol. Even within Neo-Sol, there was a distinction in status between Awakeneds and ordinary people. But being an ordinary person didn't necessarily mean being lower than an awakened. Even among ordinary people, there were successful individuals. People who operated businesses like slaughterhouses or mana stone processing companies, or those who showed their prowess in their respective fields, often received better treatment than most Awakeneds. Anyway, those living within Neo-Sol played roles according to their capabilities. The system of the human society that collapsed hundreds of years ago still exists here intact. What the Awakeneds disdain are those outside of this system. That is, the humans in the slums. Even without them, Neo-Sol could function without any major issues. So their well-being is not a concern. In the view of the chuckling Awakeneds, a man approached the main gate. He was walking briskly, wearing a robe with a hat pulled down deep. An Awakened halted him.
Who are you? Identify yourself.
My name is Zeon.
The man was indeed Zeon.
Zeon, are you from the slums?
The Awakened looked puzzled. People who left Neo-Sol were usually known to most, but Zeon was a face they had never seen before. Hence, they suspected he was from the slums.
Yes.
Why would a slum dweller be here? Without being from Neo-Sol or having an entry pass, you can't enter.
I have one. An entry pass.
You do?
Yes.
Zeon took out a temporary entry pass from his pocket and threw it to the Awakened. He had received it after saving Mandy a long time ago. It was a temporary pass valid for only a month. The Awakened examined the pass with an impressed expression.
The issuer is Mandy Sistine, and the guarantor is Mechanic Kim Sang-sik? Let me check this.
He passed it to another Awakened, who checked it with a scanner. A blue light lit up on the scanner. It meant it was genuine. Although Neo-Sol's entry passes were magically processed to be impossible to forge, the Awakened still eyed Zeon suspiciously.
What is your purpose in entering Neo-Sol?
I'm here to meet Mandy Sistine.
You mean the issuer?
Yes. Any problem?
No, you may pass.
Since the identities of the issuer and the guarantor were confirmed, there was no reason to stop him. With a dull sound, the thick gate opened.
Go in. You can stay in Neo-Sol for only a month. If you stay beyond that, the guards will find you and kill you.
The temporary entry pass Zeon received had a tracking spell on it. Even after the permit expired, if he stayed in Neo-Sol, the magic would trigger, allowing the guards to find him.
I won't stay that long. I'll leave as soon as my business is done.
Zeon smiled and passed through the main gate. As he entered Neo-Sol, the air changed. The air itself felt refreshing, as if turning on an air purifier. It was completely different from the stuffy outside air. It felt like even the deepest parts of his lungs were being cleansed. There were no pebbles rolling on the streets, and no common sand was visible outside. Sleek buildings soared high into the sky, and the attire of people walking the streets was neat and stylish. Cars and various modes of transportation moved without a sound. The sights Zeon had only heard about in stories were unfolding before his eyes. It was the most advanced city in the world, a state-of-the-art colony defying comparison with any colony he had encountered ever before. Perhaps he didn't even realize that this place might be the pinnacle of current human civilization. Zeon took his first steps into a city that surpassed any colony he had ever seen. Zeon was a powerhouse in the desert. In the desert, Zeon had nothing to fear. Neither the monsters striding across the sands, nor the mysterious creatures lurking underground could instill fear in him. However, the megacity experiencing it for the first time brought an inexplicable fear to Zeon. The massive walls surrounding Neo Soul were walls of despair that he could never hope to overcome. Beyond those walls lay a new world, but Zeon did not possess the qualification to pass through that gigantic gate. So Neo Soul felt like an illusion to him. The fact that he was within Neo Soul didn't feel like reality. It was like the feeling just before waking up from a dream. But Zeon quickly regained his composure. "I've become sentimental too," Zeon chuckled as he moved on. Neo Soul, seen firsthand, was enormous. It was much larger and more splendid than he had vaguely imagined from the outside. The streets stretched out like a checkerboard, with tall buildings packed tightly into each block. Various vehicles of different sizes traveled the streets, and colorful signs and dazzling billboards cluttered the view. For newcomers, it was the perfect environment to lose their way, but Zeon strode on without hesitation. Thanks to Mandy and Kim Sang-sik, he had a grasp of Neo Soul's geography. Neo Soul was divided into 5 main districts. There was the Central District with the City Hall, and 4 districts divided into East, West, South, and North. The Central District with the City Hall was truly the heart of Neo Soul. All the streets in Neo Soul led to this Central District, and conversely, from the Central District, roads branched out like spiderwebs to each district. There were no clearly defined boundaries between each district. People just implicitly recognized certain areas as the North District, South District, and so on. Where Zeon was heading was the border area between the Central District and the East District. This area, densely populated with apartments, was where many ordinary people lived. The apartments, both then and now, had the optimal conditions for the common people to live in. Their structure allowed for the most number of people to be squeezed into limited land. At first glance, they seemed no different from the buildings in the slums, but they were unparalleled in convenience, security, and comfort.
"So, this is it."
Zeon walked towards one of the towering apartments.
"Hey, stop right there."
But before reaching the main entrance, someone blocked his way. It was a guard stationed at the apartment. The guard was armed with a personal firearm. While it might not be much against monsters or awakenids, it was enough to intimidate ordinary people. Guards like him were stationed at each apartment or public place. They strictly managed the comings and goings of visitors. The guard scanned Zeon up and down and spoke.
"You're a new face here. What's your business?"
"I've come to meet someone,"
Zeon stated.
"Who?"
The guard pressed.
"Mandy Sustain. She lives in this apartment,"
Zeon answered.
"Is there a prior appointment?"
The guard inquired.
"No."
Zeon shook his head.
"Then you can't enter,"
the guard stated firmly.
"Can't you contact her inside?"
At Zeon's words, the guard frowned and replied.
"Unless there's a direct contact from inside, nobody gets in."
"I'm her acquaintance. If you contact her, she'll surely let me in."
"There are no exceptions."
The guard snorted dismissively. It was clear he was ignoring Zeon. The power of the guards in the apartment was quite significant. Since they were responsible for safety, if the guard didn't permit it, nobody could enter. Zeon looked perplexed. He hadn't expected to encounter obstacles right at the entrance of the apartment. While overpowering the guard and entering was an option, it would attract attention.
Tisk.
Zeon clicked his tongue and glanced around. It was at that moment. Boom! Suddenly, not far from the apartment, there was a loud explosion accompanied by flames shooting up. Instantly, the guard's expression changed drastically.
"Damn it! Again!"
"What do you mean? Again?"
"Don't you know? It's a district war."
At Zeon's inquiry, the guard snapped angrily.
"A district war? Are you saying there's a war between districts?"
"Fuck! Are you asking that because you don't know? It happens every day here."
Zeon's gaze sank deeper. Honestly, Neo Soul, seen from the slums, seemed quite peaceful. It didn't seem like there would be any disputes here. However, this place was still where people lived. Just like in the slums, there were conflicts among humans here too. But conflicts were only permitted between the East, West, South, and North districts. Any disturbances in the Central District with the City Hall, the domain of the Awakenids, were not tolerated. If a problem arose in the Central District, the Awakenids directly under the City Hall would intervene immediately. If the problem was deemed serious, the execution unit directly under the mayor would act. When the execution unit moved, blood would flow in Neo Soul. No matter how powerful the rulers of each district were, they couldn't ignore the execution unit. The execution unit consisted of Awakenids ranging from A rank to S rank, each possessing tremendous abilities. Because of this, even the rulers of each district were wary of the execution unit. Boom! Once again, a massive explosion occurred. The flames soaring into the sky dyed the sky of Neo Soul crimson. But this time, the explosion happened much closer than before. The guard looked at the site of the explosion with a tense expression.
"Shit! If this continues, won't we get involved in this mess too?
Though they existed to fend off external threats, the guards had no ability to stop clashes among the Awakenids. Just then, another explosion occurred. Bang! Arrgh! This crazy bastard, run! Desperate cries of people followed. After a moment, the chaos subsided as if nothing had happened.
Is it over?
The guard muttered under his breath, loosening his grip on the gun. His entire body was now drenched in sweat. That's how tense he had been at that moment.
Hey! What the hell? Is this because of those bastards?
Accompanied by grumbling, someone walked towards them. Wiping blood from her head and shoulders, a woman approached, holding a large spear in her hand. As she touched the handle of the spear, it folded and transformed into a baton. She tucked the baton behind her waist and casually wiped the blood off her body with her hand.
I feel so uncomfortable. I need to take a bath.
She grumbled as she approached the entrance of the apartment where Zeon and the guards stood. A smile crept onto Zeon's lips.
Long time no see.
Who? Huh? Why are you here?
The woman widened her eyes in surprise as she looked at Zeon. Zeon approached her.
Mandy? No, Eloy?
Wow. Damn, it's really you. I thought I was seeing things.
Eloy, as expected, you caused the fight just now.
Ah! It was a clash with those elf bastards. But more importantly, how did you get in here?
I came to meet you.
Really? Well, let's go inside for now.
Eloy led Zeon towards the entrance of the apartment. Gulp! The guard, witnessing this, swallowed nervously. He couldn't predict what consequences he might face if Eloy found out that he had blocked Zeon. Even at a glance, Eloy looked formidable. Her fierce gaze, aura of strength emanating from her entire body, and her blood-drenched body made her too intimidating for a mere guard to handle. Just then, Zeon tapped the guard's shoulder lightly.
Relax. Nothing will happen.
What? Yes.
Can I go in?
Of course.
The guard answered loudly. Zeon smiled and walked past him. Eloy asked Zeon as they entered.
What happened here?
Nothing.
Oh, really?
Did you say you fought with the elves?
Lately, these bastards have been causing trouble little by little.
Is it a problem in the North District?
I don't know. Whether it's the Ice Queen letting them loose, or those beyond her control running rampant. Lately, they've been causing more trouble.
When elves were mentioned, Eloy's eyes gleamed fiercely. Her hatred towards elves remained as strong as ever. Click.
Here's my home,
she said as she opened the door to her house. Eloy's house was no different from Zeon's. The interior was simple, with only essential furniture and appliances, giving it a stark atmosphere.
It's plain, isn't it?
In an instant, Eloy's tone changed. A different personality seemed to emerge from her just moments ago, but Zeon wasn't surprised.
Mandy?
Yes.
Sorry for dropping by unexpectedly.
No problem. But why did you come all the way here?
I have a request?
Zeon's polite words piqued Mandy's interest. From what she understood, Zeon was never the type of person to ask someone for something.
What's the request?
Find out about someone named Tajik for me.
Tajik? Is that a person's name?
Yes.
Anything else?
At the moment, I only know the name.
Mandy furrowed her brows. With over 20 million people residing in Neo Sol, finding someone named Tajik seemed nearly impossible, of course, for an ordinary person. Mandy wasn't an ordinary person. Even in Neo Sol, she was recognized for her abilities and worked as a supervisor. If she set her mind to it, she could access the Central District's database. But of course, it came with some risks. After a moment of thought, she cautiously responded.
Okay, I'll look into it.
Really? Thank you.
I also owe you a favor.
Without Zeon, she wouldn't have survived in the desert. Paying off this debt now felt rather comforting.
How long will it take to gather information?
It shouldn't take too long. If he's an important or dangerous figure, there should be information available at the City Hall.
Is that so?
At the latest, I should have the information by tomorrow afternoon. Stay here until then.
I can't impose on you that much. Is there a nearby place to stay?
There's a fairly large hotel 2 blocks north. As long as you don't go to the casino underground, it should be fine.
A casino? There's one here?
It's mainly frequented by humans looking to make a quick buck. They often end up losing everything, so it's best not to go in the first place.
Got it. I'll stay at the hotel then. Contact me once you find out.
Sure.
Zeon nodded slightly in gratitude to Mandy before stepping outside. He headed towards the hotel Mandy had mentioned. As he walked up 2 blocks north, a beautiful building made of reinforced glass came into view. It was the hotel Mandy had mentioned. Zeon entered the hotel. The lobby was bustling with many people moving around. It seemed that there were quite a few visitors due to the casino underground. Just as Zeon was pushing through the crowd towards the front desk.
Huh?
Familiar figures caught Xion's eye as a group of Awakenids walked towards him. There was a middle-aged man carrying a massive claymore on his back, followed by a man with a cynical expression and a blue-haired woman, and a giant boasting an enormous stature. Xion recognized them at a glance. What a small world.